Hello, parents. Welcome to the Wednesday evening session that we have with you every Wednesday called for the series called Imperfect Parenting. We are excited
Hello.
to see you guys again. And this time we have done two things differently. The first one is that we have recorded this session ahead of time for a couple of reasons. And the second is that we don't have a guest today because we've had a lot of parents of older children reaching out to us saying, hey, you guys aren't talking anything about college going kids.
Our college bound kids. Yeah.
So we thought, hey, let's do that. Let's talk about college going kids and let's talk about how we can build their resilience. So here we are today talking about these very important topics. So, Deepa, many colleges, many schools are engaging in massive grade inflation, and we are not fully preparing our children to what is lying ahead, which is the challenging path of moving from a school to a college. And so much is tied up to, the parental pressure, what the college's expectations are, our
Yes.
education system, all of these things. And there's so much pressure on our kids.
And
And
I
we
think
are
a lot of our thing is about grades, right? We entirely, right from grade 1 to grade 12, that's all we're thinking about is the grades. So you were right about the grade inflation. Yeah.
yeah, and look at us as parents, right? Let's interpret that also, that
Mhm.
as parents we are a generation of over involved. Let me fix all your problems, let me solve all your problems,
Yep.
parents. The third aspect to that is the social media and the technology that is bombarding our children. It's like a war zone, right? When the social media platforms are meant to connect all of us, it seems to be not doing that. In fact, it's doing the exact opposite. Our
Sometimes,
children
yeah.
are raised in this very technological era, which either you and I kind of grew up in. So
Mm.
their growing up is very different. Their challenges are very different. And
Absolutely.
they are
Yeah.
literally dodging these bullets, and you can come out of the war alive, but you are going through unimaginable amount of stress, anxiety. Mental health is a big topic that we are all talking about. Our kids are preparing themselves and immersing themselves in getting good grades and in fulfilling their assignments, in actually going through inflating and bulking up their resume so they look very good for college. And that's when you and I are going to ask a slightly different question, a
Yes.
very big question to ask, life's big question that we should, as parents, talk to our children about. So I listened to this podcast, which I was telling you earlier about, and I
Uh-huh.
wanted to share a little bit from there.
Yeah.
The right question to ask is, who do you want to be, not just what you want to do? And how do you allow who you want to be to thrive in all aspects of your life? Now, why is this all aspects of our life important? Because while you may be very successful academically or you may be doing really well in your scores, are you mentally resilient to deal with all the challenges that are being thrown at you? So, at this stage of our life, children are asking, what course should I join? What major should I be in? Which college should I apply to? And so that I can build a great career. But the question is not about building a great career, because that's not what life is. So the answer is, career is not your life. While this may sound very easy, it is important for us to ask this question: who do I want to be? And why do
Yeah.
we ask this question? Because we want to answer this question: how resilient are our college going teens? And
So
so, what do you
true.
have to say about that, Deepa? This is our interesting topic.
Oh.
How resilient is your college going teen? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I'm so excited actually to be answering these questions today. And I'm so glad that so many of our parents sent the questions in and said, yeah, we love, that you're talking about the younger kids and and the developmental trajectory of the younger kids. But now, can you answer a few questions about our college kids? So I remember when we were doing our research for another time management program that we were going to do, and we were thinking about goal setting, and
Yes.
we were researching goal setting. And of course, now with the end of the year, in 3 months, can you believe it, 2021 is almost over.
It's gone fast, yes.
Seriously. But in 3 months, we'll be starting all our resolutions and our goal setting, and all of the organizational and time management skills. And that's when I think it bears thought that goal setting is a little bit of a shorter process, in terms of it is, the longest you'd set your goals for is 12 months, right? A year. Or you'd
Yes.
set a goal for 5 years, your 5-year goal, your 12-month goal, your 6-month goal. These are about things that you want to do, right? But the deeper question that begs to be asked then is, who do you want to be, which is your intention, and that intention is lifelong. And I wish, we had understood this a little earlier when we were a little younger, because I remember when I was little, someone asked me, when I was very little, someone asked me, what do you want to be, which is a normal question that uncles and aunties ask us, right? And so I said, I want to be a rickshaw driver. And everybody laughed, and we kind of moved on. But that was the what do you want to be? As I grew older, I wanted to be a stewardess because I wanted to travel everywhere. So I said, that's what I want to be. And somehow in our generation, nobody really talked about girls becoming pilots. So I said, okay, I want to be a stewardess. Okay, there was a big laugh about that, and I grew up a little more. And then I said I wanted to be a teacher. I always kept changing my what, but if only someone had asked me, who do you want to be? I think the question would have been then, or the answer would have been, I want to help people, right? I want to help people and I want to have fun doing it. And I think that's what.
And I think so important, isn't it, that you align your personality with your purpose. You can only do well, you can only be successful as an individual. And I'm not just talking about career or school, I'm talking about in life in general, is when you can align your personality with your purpose. And, so let's just get right into it about the resilience aspect of it.
Yes.
How do we, I mean, we all say that, teens need to learn, they need to figure out how to solve problems on their own. But if we have never started this process young enough, how do we actually get our children to do that? So anything you want to talk about in that?
Actually, I remember our conversations, right? When our older one was going off to college, older ones were going off to college, and we started panicking, you and I, because we were just like, oh my God, she doesn't know how to make her own bed, or she's never, cooked a meal in her life, or she's always got the earphones on. What if she's got her earphones on and she's walking, on a empty road, and she's not
somebody following her or something.
Yeah, and she's not aware of what's going on around. And we started freaking out. And that's when I realized that I wish we had started the process of allowing a little more freedom and allowing that ability to solve problems when they were younger, because then they would have been more resilient and we would have saved ourselves, I think, a lot of anxious moments if we had done that.
Absolutely. Because then we would have had that confidence in our children, because they would have already done all of these things. And I remember, between you and I, we have 3 college going kids. So we are very experienced to talk about this topic for sure. And, I remember, and you said that to me also, with our firstborn, we have been texting them every hour or checking on them daily and hourly. And I don't think that's the right thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I was also with the
too much of a helicopter parenting.
Yeah, with the first one, I was very over.
I have to say, it came from a place of, oh, my bacha, what's my bacha doing and all that. But what I have realized is that the more further away the distance between my daughter calling me and speaking to me, I have found that she has achieved a lot more and figured out a lot more and interpreted a lot more things by herself when I'm not constantly involved in her life, right?
Yeah. I mean, I know, I'm sorry I interrupted earlier, but I know that I was definitely with my first one over involved. And now with the second one having gone to college, the first one is training me to be a better mom. So she's telling me, let go. It's very frustrating, mom, when mama, when you keep on asking questions, or you think you're being involved, but it's very frustrating for us. So let it go. He'll figure it out. And I'm kind of looking at her going, okay, it's hard, but I have to do it. So you're right. Be involved. And but like you said about your daughter, right, that you were so proud when you realized that she was the best cook among her roommates.
Yes. In fact, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that for a child who never picked up after leaving her dirty laundry in the room, bed was never made, never entered the kitchen in her life, suddenly she's now in this dorm with 3 other girls, and 4 of them are together, and she apparently is the neatest person in the room, the cleanest person in the room, the best cook. And actually, now when I look back, I think it's because of the consequence I always gave her
Yeah.
about not, picking up after herself, about constantly talking to her about why making a bed is such an important task to begin the day with, because that's one responsibility that you have checked off.
Yeah.
And that's why I remember telling my children that, you know what, I used to get very frustrated and I would say things like, what do you guys have to do? I have to cook. I have to clean. I have to bring the groceries. I have to pay the bills. I have to pay your fees. I have to do everything. What is your job? And I think this is an important point that I think parents really need to listen to, is that yes, your children are doing a job as college going kids. Let's talk a little bit about that. How to treat college as a 40 plus hour job. Let's talk. I know people are going to get shocked, but let's talk about that.
I think we should. I
Yes.
think it's a very nice bullet point that we have, is that what should we expect? I think someone asked us that, right? What should we expect
Yeah.
of our children?
Correct.
What can we expect? And it's like, being a student is a full-time job. So
Yes.
expect, yes, for sure, and we'll talk about this a little later, is expect excellence for sure from them in being a student, but also treat it like a job. So there will be consequences if you don't turn in your assignments on time, if you don't send in your projects on time, if you are late to class, if you miss too many classes, right?
Yeah.
Instead of them learning all of this when they go to college, why not start when they're in 10th standard? Why not start when they're in 9th standard, right? Where
Correct.
they let them face the consequence of not giving an assignment. Because that's the thing. I was always so worried about this 10th standard board exam and 12th standard board exam that I was reminding them about everything.
No, and the common justification that most parents give is, "Arey wo padhai kar raha hai, yeah, she's
Oh,
studying. I don't want to disturb her. I'll take care of this." I think that's where we are making a
treat
mistake.
it like a job. Yeah.
I think that everybody, there are kids who handle the responsibility quite well. I mean, they
Yeah.
manage everything. How is she managing everything? And we may argue that, yeah, they're now older, so they're more responsible. I don't think it comes that way. In fact, there are people who have delayed sense of responsibility and have commitment phobias because they never take responsibility at all.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the things I tell my children is, if you don't understand something, you go ask your teachers.
Yeah.
You figure it out. Let them solve their own problems. So our next point that I wanted to discuss is, encourage our children to go and talk to their professors. Tell them to go and get help. They
Yeah.
have to be strong enough to figure out the solutions themselves.
Yeah.
If a problem has been created, they need to solve it. They
Yeah.
need to be able to reach out to the professors, right?
100%. It comes from that 40-hour week job concept. Once you realize that being a student is a job, it's not only about academics. It's about everything about being a student.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's not just your academics. So I know that, there are so many parents or so many children actually who come to our classes and they won't do their homework, right? And they'll come and they'll say, Auntie, I had exam. Auntie, I had too much assignments today. So that's when we talk to them about conversations, about coming to us earlier. Remember, during the week, we say, come during the week and say, Auntie, I'm unable to finish this. What can I do? Reach
Exactly.
out to us. That's
Correct.
the same thing. Reach out to your teachers, reach out to, and I remember,
Especially in college, this is a very common thing where
You
the
have to.
professors have open office hours and they ask the children to come and talk to them. So,
and they are not going to come to you and say, darling, are you having a problem? Can
correct.
I help you? What can I do? Oh, you didn't wake up on time. Oh, your alarm clock is not working. Nobody is going to do that. So it's better to start when they are younger. And I
Yeah.
remember I used to always ask my children 3 questions. So when they came to me with a problem, I would say, did you ask your teacher? And they'd say, yeah. And then she said, blah, blah, blah. Or sometimes the teacher may have said, go figure it out yourself.
Correct.
Then, did you ask your friend? Yeah, I asked, so and so, and she said, I did it this way, but I don't know if that's the right way. And I say, did you ask anyone else? Right? Someone else, third person. And I'd say,
Or Google it or do your research.
did
Yeah.
you ask the internet? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So these 3 things have you done? Then you come to me, we'll figure it out together.
Correct.
But make the attempt. What happens to us now? And we've done it too. So we are not, we're not beating anybody else up.
Yeah.
We've done it too. We want to jump in and solve the problem because we know the answer. So we're so
Correct.
excited. And so we want to
In
tell.
fact, I remember last week my daughter was going on and on about, I need an iPad because she's in a design school, and I need an iPad. I need to, and we've already bought her an expensive computer, and now she's asking for an iPad. And already going abroad means you're paying a lot of fees. And I said, okay, if you think that you really need it, you need to justify A, why you need it, and B, you need to figure out how you're going to pay for it.
Correct.
Lo behold, she had, because we refused to engage in that kind of you need, it's not, you can survive without it. But if you think you can't, figure out a way. She's now got 2 jobs that is now paying for her iPad, and she's figured it out, and she's managing her school, she's managing her job, and she's feeling extremely proud and confident about her own ability to take care of her own needs. And I think it does hurt a little bit to say no to your child, and you think, no, it is our responsibility, right? As parents, we want to give them everything. But when the time comes, I think we have to take a step back and say, figure it out. And today, I think we feel extremely proud that she has taken these steps, and we feel really good that she has paid for this herself.
So, and think about how she's feeling, Seema. I'm sure she's feeling so amazing.
She now thinks that I can do anything. I can do anything. I can conquer the world. Exactly. And that's exactly why stepping back.
That's what you gave her. That's what you gave her.
And one additional point that I wanted to discuss, and which is, this whole concept of, okay, when we are scheduling, you talked about that earlier. We're talking about planning and scheduling and all that. And we keep putting in the work that we have to do in our planner. But we never schedule a downtime. Like we say, happiness doesn't come to you. It has to be, you have to pull happiness towards you. Similarly, downtime, which is relaxing, resting, doing things that you enjoy, is something that you need to put into your planner first. Yes. Because that kind of reprograms your mind for something. When you have scheduled a downtime, you know that you are no longer overwhelmed by the work that is being done.
Correct. Yeah, remember, I mean, every time I remember, every time we talk to our children, it's always gyan giving, no? It's always instruction. It's always aise karo, aise mat karo.
2 hours for math, 3 hours for science.
Or last time तुम्हारे maths के subject marks
practice karo, 15 problems.
Practice karo. So we are like constantly, and they look at us only, and you can see it in their eyes, right? When you start talking only, they start switching off. And I feel so bad, but I can't stop my mouth from talking, despite the fact that I'm seeing, right, that they're switching off.
Yeah.
We discovered this again in our time management research, and it has worked wonders, not just for our children, but for all our students, is that you take that sheet of paper, put in the hours of the day, give it to them and say, put the fun stuff in.
Yes, schedule fun stuff.
Positive ho jata hai na, the whole discussion becomes so positive after that.
And they don't feel overwhelmed. They don't feel like there's so much I have to do, because they know for a fact that there has been time for themselves. And I remember in the pre-college skills course that we had done, one of our students says, oh, after 9:30, I only listen to music. It's my time. I close the door. I listen to my headphones, and that's my time. And if I don't do that, I will be so miserable the next day. And I think that kind of speaks to this point that you need to schedule your downtime.
Yes.
So one other thing, of course, when you go to college, you are now opening up yourself to new people, new experiences, new knowledge. So how open and how encouraging should we be in, telling our children, in order for them to become resilient, is to be open. How do we talk to them about that?
Yeah. We were talking about this earlier, and the 2 points with being open is, of course, being open and always keeping that door open for conversations. And again, those habits start young. So we have to start when they are small. We have to continuously talk and keep the door open for conversations and back and forth, and sometimes arguments and discussions.
And sometimes share experiences that we had, which has pushed us out of the comfort zone. I mean, there are so many things that you and I have done in the Confident Communicator, where we have learned so many things. Technology, we are technically challenged, but we have pushed ourselves, constantly pushing the boundaries all the time. I think that openness comes with getting out of that comfort zone and allowing our children to say, don't just limit yourself to just learning academic things, but open yourself to new experiences. Try out new things, try out meeting new people, try out new knowledge. So if you are, for example, I remember Steve Jobs talking about learning calligraphy, when he was going
Yes,
to
yes.
technical school, and that sort of led to the whole
Whole
creation of
MacBook
that.
thing.
Yeah, the whole MacBook thing. So I think when you open yourself to learning new things, new knowledge, meeting new people, I think that also sort of builds that resilience inside the child's mind and the confidence, because now you are able to sort of navigate through maybe a corporate life or even life in general by saying, I have a good understanding of all of these things through my openness, through my pushing the boundaries, through my sense of empathy and kindness, all of these factors.
Yeah, and to me, openness also means, like, both of us, right? We have technically very savvy children, and we are both challenged.
Not so savvy.
Being open meant not showing our children that we are perfect and we know everything, but
Correct.
going to them for help and saying, nahi samajh
How
mein
to do this?
yeah, ye Instagram mein help
And
karo.
it is because of our openness to learn even from our own children.
Yeah.
Is when we have also learned the most, right? So that openness,
And
don't
they
distinguish between who you are learning from. Yeah.
And they learn to be okay with not knowing, right? So then that normalizing failure, which you were talking about earlier, comes out, right? Where we have to do that.
Now, the last and most controversial topic, because it's the buzzword today, is let's normalize failure. Let's hold them accountable. So how, this whole normalizing of failure is a very open to interpretation kind of a thing, right? Okay, so yeah, it's okay to fail, but do we really want our children to fail? We want them to do well, right? So their success is the most important to us. Then why are we talking about normalizing failure? What's your interpretation of that?
And see, this was one of the questions, right, that some of the parents have asked us ki, yaar, tum log
buzzword,
normalize
fail hona chahiye.
Yeah. And they're like, you all say it's very easy for you to say, let the child fail. But when we say let the child fail, that doesn't mean that they fail and then they stay in that failure wala dabba, right? It's not like that.
Yeah.
When you normalize failure, you make them understand two things. One, that yes, thoda kam marks aaya, 40% aaya, 45% aaya. That's a bad thing. You're feeling terrible about it, but it's not the end of the world. Correct. That's number one. The number two part of it is that despite saying that it's not the end of the world, the conversation has to continue. Okay, now what do you want to do about it?
Right.
One of the choices is, I don't like this subject, I'm going to give it up. I'm just going to manage to get 50% till I can give it up, and then I'm going to give it up. Okay. The second is, I don't like getting this 45 and 50%. I need to do better. Okay, now what do we do to get better? How do we do? What is the effort that we put in? How do we put in this effort? So all that conversation takes time. So again, we have to give our children time. We have to talk to them.
And let's focus on the effort, right? Let's focus on effort. Focus on the effort. I mean, the end result is never that critical. The effort is what is critical, and what you have to give, where are you accountable is not about your grades, but how much did you put in order to get to that point. So how accountable are you for your effort? And that's what we should focus on. And I think this has been such an amazing conversation. And you, as you know, we discussed that this is something that you and I need to record and send out to our parents, because it's very, very pertinent. So again, to reiterate, we want our parents to now ask the question, who do you want to be, rather than focusing on what is it that you want to do. Yes, and there are a few topics that we talked about today, which is resilience and shyness. And we talked about, how do you ace every exam? So all these three different points and topics we will be sharing at the end of this video. We'll be sharing 3 videos about resilience, about how to raise shy kids, and about acing every exam, because it talks a lot about the planning aspect of it also, and recognizing effort rather than result. So, that's it for today. And, we are so happy that parents are sending us these wonderful topics to talk about for different ages, for different situations and scenarios. And we will try to bring in as many interesting guests. If you think that you are a guest who wants to join us, please do reach out to us for our Imperfect Parenting series that happens every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you again next week. Thanks, Deepma.
Thank you, Seema. Bye. I had so much fun today. Bye.
Amazing. Bye.